Let's go.
Hi, everybody. This is Elena from Cross-Cultural Development, and you are listening to Bending Culture podcast, the show where we master the art of cross-cultural collaboration and where the professional learn how to grow and thrive in the multicultural world we live and work in today, and how to become a real global game changer. I'm really, really excited about the topic of today because it is huge and it is very important. Not that the other topics are not important, but today we will dive in how the multicultural shift we all see happening in the workflow everywhere in Europe and in a lot of countries around the world impact the purpose, profession, passion, and priorities within organizations. I'm doing it with my guest, Jasper van Waes, and I believe that he is the real authority on the subject. Jasper is a leadership and organization developer, consultant, executive coach. He is an owner of Movement 2, a company that is specializing in purpose-driven organization development. He is also a co-creator of this new and unique approach to cultural and performance change on all levels of the organization. And on the personal note, Jasper is the one we can blame. Okay, maybe blame is not the right word. I will find another one. We can hold responsible for this podcast coming to life, as he was the one who introduced me to Erin's Meyer Culture Map, the book that changed direction of my professional journey and ultimately led to me to starting this podcast. And as a real professional, he takes his responsibility seriously and he owns it by being today the guest of the show. Jasper, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you, and thanks for inviting me. And nice to be here in your podcast. So cool.
I already called these 4 P's, you know how we call them? Yeah. Purpose, passion, profession, and priority. And I think that people are all in suspense, like, what does it mean? So can you please dive in right away and explain this approach you take to transformation within organizations?
Yeah, of course. If you give me the opportunity to you being the topic on that, because I think what you really did, you're the living example that it works. I would say because well, we of course know each other from the business part and from the personal part, but we got to know each other a few years ago. We collaborated for movement. During our collaboration, we found out that your real passion and your real purpose is. And where you're extremely credible in is in that multinational, global, cultural part of the world. You're very credible on that, working in international business for many years and being able to bridge those. So what we tend to do with people and with teams, and then in the end also with organizations, is to find out their passion and their purpose. And the purpose is really the reason why they exist beyond making money. I'm of course very happy that I was able to show you the world of cross-cultural communication, awareness, and collaboration, and introduce you to the book of Erin Meyer that helped me as well in understanding how it works. Now, coming back to our philosophy, it's always nice to see people thrive because they follow their passion and their purpose. So that's the first thing. That's, as we tend to say, the moved part of movement. How moved are you, and what makes you tick in the end? And then we combine it with the professional and priority part, whereas we have set direction with a team, with a leader, or with you, and then how to thrive on that, how to make a better movement, how to excel based on that higher purpose, higher passion. So it's nice to be here, and it's not coincidental that we're here, the two of us. You following your passion and your purpose to make people aware of the cross-cultural aspect of life and of business, and then it's so important to thrive in that. So yeah, that's a bit on how and why I found this company and this movement, so to say.
Yeah, I'm also grateful because you are talking about these 4 directions, but actually it's not really a direction. It's like a basics actually, where every movement, every transformation are coming from. Because if you don't know what drives you, what your passion is, you also don't know where you're gonna do that and what is needed, what you need to prioritize and what you need to get rid of. That is the whole process where movement is taken the organizations.
Very true. Yeah, it's not that you can excel in one factor. We call it growth factors. Yeah, so those four elements: passion, purpose, priority, and profession. But they need to be aligned. So sometimes we start with professional and priority part, that people or teams can excel in that, and then we add the purpose and passion part to it. But it goes hand in hand. There are four, and they are really interdependent. And sometimes we measure them, we diagnose them, but we always work with those four in mind and balance them. And it goes for individuals, goes for teams, goes for leaders, and sometimes goes for complete organizations that we help propelling, moving forward in different directions. So indeed, there's an interdependence among those.
Absolutely. It's the one cannot exist without the other.
No, yeah, true.
They can exist, but the company will be not successful on the long run if they are out of balance.
Yeah, very much.
Jasper, I'm very curious. You are doing this work for a long time, longer than me. And I love to talk about this multicultural shift going on due to the lack of talent and the world becoming more open and more interconnected. I'm curious, in your opinion, how the business world has changed since you started. What do you see in your work in the changes which are happening?
We see a few things, I would say. I found this company because of the fact that I would like to make development more measurable. So it's no longer an abstract, overlooked thing like a soft skills training or whatever. No, make it as measurable as possible. That's one of the developments that I tend to see. Beside that, also rapid change. So dynamics, it's even the horizon for a company is shortening and shortening. So 5-year plans as they used to be, they are no longer valid. So pace is really going up. So you need to be very open for change and being able to adopt those changes very rapidly. Not only internally, externally as well, of course, over the past couple of years. Let's say that the measurability, the pace is changing, and of course, and it's a bit more relating to your expertise. The multinational, cross-cultural multinational teams or people or teams consisting of many nationalities, backgrounds, languages, nurture, nature, all kind of those kind of differences. We do see them a lot, and it's interesting to see the differences and how people cope with those differences. We see it every day in our field as well, in our expertise while working with teams and leaders.
Does it make your job more challenging, or it does, it's either or more interesting, or is it actually helping the fact that there are so many cultures and so many mindsets in the organization you're working with?
I would say it's more challenging, but also more interesting. I like actually the complexity because we tend to make it more simple with our methodology and our philosophy. So I would say it's an asset, but if you don't look at it and take care of it, then it becomes a liability of a team or of a leadership or of a company. If you overlook it, the whole cross-cultural part, then it's really a tough one and it can really hit you. From my experience, you also see that it's sometimes a bit overlooked and that people are not aware yet of the importance of cross-cultural awareness, communication, collaboration. Yeah, if that's the case, then it's more difficult for us to overcome. If there's no awareness yet, we cannot work with that. We first have to create that awareness. And yeah, I have a few examples of teams and leaders that tend to overlook and some that fully embrace the topic, the cross-cultural collaboration and communication part and the differences. And I see them propelling way faster. So that I can see it from both sides, I would say.
Yeah. But you said a little bit of challenge. The purpose of this podcast is to create this awareness, because what I see is that we are so far that the leaders see that we're all different like human beings, but taking this culture dimension is just totally not in the picture yet. I'm curious if you have any examples on what are the benefits that the organizations can reap on when they are aware of this cross-cultural situation and prepared for it, of taking steps to be prepared and tackle these challenges, and what are the costs the organization, and maybe not money cost directly, but really costs what the organization have to sacrifice when it's not working.
Let me give you indeed or two and the others two examples, and then first start with the costs. So there's no, I would say, indeed direct monetary cost, but it's shown in different signals. So people leaving a company or having difficulty to create a safe atmosphere, or there are many signs of if there's a team consisting of many different cultures or different nationalities, and that whole aspect is overlooked, then I would say, yeah, it's harder to build trust and to open up. Let me give an example of a global company that we've worked for and that we've worked with over the past years, and they are more or less more task driven, result driven. They have operations all over the globe, but they assume that they are all same under the same umbrella of their strategy and their goals and whatsoever. So it's mainly driven by those, so to say, tough or hard criteria, and they overlook the whole human part, the interaction part, and the difference part. They face difficulty with people trusting each other, reaching out to each other, collaborating with each other, not only so cross-functional, but also within the teams. And then there are all kind of difficulties to overcome. And then they see that the organization is not propelling that fast as they wish to. So I would say that those are really signals that it would be possible to question, hey, are we overlooking something? And might that be the cross-cultural and communication part that we are overlooking? So that's a bit on the negative side. And let me also give you an example of a team that we worked with, being a part of an international company. So the mother company is not within the Netherlands. It's a global company. And as we tend to do, you know us a little better, but we tend to diagnose and direct. We measure both qualitatively and quantitative. And then we start into developing together. But the first part is really important. And what really strikes me was that this team, I said, okay, we are going to measure your team maturity up front. And then based on that, we are going to propose you a program and finish that. And then I was questioning, okay, what kind of distinctions will we make when we measure the team maturity? And so that can be seniority levels, that can be locations. If a team is based in many countries, then they are able to make that distinction in the results as well. And this team, I really love that. They said, Jasper, we have another distinction. And that's for the ones who listen into your podcast, is low context versus high context. So we have a few people coming from the low context culture and a few people coming from the high context culture. So I thought, okay, these guys, they really know the game of cross-cultural collaboration and communication because they came out of themselves with this distinction. And then it was really, really nice to see, okay, mapping that cultural distinction. And I hope that people know what high context, low context means in respect to cross-cultural.
Listening for the first time because we talked about it before in the previous episodes, but maybe somebody's switching out for the first time. So
well, let me try to explain it and then you can add to it. But as far as I understand, is the low context is really quite direct, quite straight to the point, using not that many words and not have a kind of all fluffy atmosphere around it. No, straight to the point, direct. More high context culture is not showing that easily his feelings or his deeper thoughts or his deeper wants, and is a little bit more like dressing up the words, I would say. Am I right, Elena? Because I'm
you're speaking like a true guy from the low context culture.
okay, we skip that one. Yeah, I do. So I realized that I made a judgment on low context and high context. We can skip this one, or we can leave it in. Well, let's see. But coming back to my point, the benefit of this is that they were fully aware. And what I saw then during my development cycle with the team is that they really propelled quite easily, even faster. So they were able to find each other more easily. Of course, we had to redefine and fire up their purpose statement and their passion, but bridging differences from different cultures, different angles, different perspectives. And it was really a team, I think about 15 people and consisting of about 10 different cultural backgrounds, but they were able to oversee and overcome, and we're fully aware of that. And it's very joyful to work with that, and pacing up way easier because there's a kind of common trust, common layer, a kind of common foundation. We call it maturity level, but it really binds them and it captivates them, and they go way faster. And that's for me a real example of why your topic that you're pursuing so much, why you put it into the world and help so many people, why it is so important. And we do see it in our own practice as well.
I think it's very good that you said, when you understand the difference in low and high context communication, that can help you so much with the trust issues. Because when we have the people from high context communication and they talk all this message behind the message, people from the low context communication think, okay, they're trying to cheat on us or something. They're not being honest. And on the other side is thinking, oh, they're so direct, they don't respect us. And when you have this as a starting point, then one thing, they don't respect us, and the other side, they want to cheat on us, then there is no basis of trust. And when you have this, and maybe you don't know how to bridge it yet, because they're coming to you for help, but they do know that it exists. You don't know what you don't know, right? But the moment that you know, then you can work on it. And with help of the professionals, you can really make quantum leaps steps. That's a great example. Thanks.
You can explain it even better than I do. Yeah, we see really those costs and benefits on both sides. And the tougher the game becomes if there's no awareness yet, and how to bridge them, and how to build trust, how to build connection on a basic level. Yeah, that's really a tough one if there's no awareness at the first stage.
Absolutely. What do you think, in your opinion, how the challenges for organization change? What you say, the pace is getting higher, the world is changing, there are things happening on the markets every time. The markets are shifting because of geopolitics and stuff like that. What do you think the challenges that really arise in the last couple of years for the organization, and they are still a little bit behind? When you're in the picture, you don't see the frame. When you come to an organization, you see it from a different perspective than the organization itself. So what can you say that, okay, that is the case, but somehow they don't see it, or somehow they don't act on it?
Yeah, and then it's based on our philosophy. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, on what we tend to say. Yeah, it's always a bit our frame, so to say, or the picture we draw together is always on the frame with those four factors. So it's always based on passion and purpose on one hand, so the move part of the movement, and the movement part on the other side. And as we tend to see, it's really challenging to look for the purpose beyond making money in more business side, so to say. So the private companies that we help in IT and in professional services part, they really have to look for, okay, what is our purpose? What is our reason beyond making money? That is really a challenge, and it's becoming more increasingly important. We see it in retention, in keeping people, captivate them and let them grow. That is really a challenge at this moment in time. So that side, and on the other side, I would say what is really important, that people sometimes lose faith in that passion and purpose, because they have it, they have their burning desire to change, but things get tough because of many changes, or that things don't go in the way they want it. But they keep the fire burning, but they get a bit frustrated in how to pursue that. So we also see people in organizations that are really driven, really passionate, really purpose driven, but they have difficulty in excelling in a movement way. So to get to different performance, it's always one or the other. And then we of course make the combination. I think those challenges are really with people becoming more aware of, okay, what are we doing? Why are we doing what we are doing? those type of questions. People willing to enter into a new job or joining a new company, we tend to see, and also there are many research and papers on that why are people doing what we're doing, that becomes increasingly important. I always think, is it despite of, or is it because of the facts that are in geopolitics happening and all the dynamics in the world? I don't know, but I would say leaders and teams should really be aware of that and give guidance in that and be very clear on that. And even very money driven companies face those challenges, and they need to go for, okay, why are we here? Not only because we make money. No, we have a societal impact. We do change the world, but we have to think through a little bit more. We love our people, and we really take care of that, and we make it to the best we can. And of course, by doing so, we make money. But then it's the other way around, based on retention, on people taking their responsibilities, being moved and move. Yeah, I would say those challenges is really what we see and what we of course love to work with.
I love that you're saying it, because I think that when you take an multicultural organization, and when you see that there are people from different nationalities working within a team or organization, defining a purpose can be a challenge, but then you need to translate this purpose to this language will be understandable for everyone. Because
Yeah.
it is very funny. We were talking, not funny, but it's an example of my last experience, and we were talking about the word respect and how important it was to have respect within the company. And then we started to dig deeper, and there were like 7 or 8 nationalities, and all of them understood respect in a different way. And then they also like, okay, but we also see, especially people from hierarchical cultures, it turned out that they also see respect in a different way, up and on the same level and down. And then we decided, okay, we take the word respect out. We need to really find something short which explain this respect, and then resonates with all the people on all the levels, because we tend to make this beautiful mission and vision buzz terms, and they can mean totally different things to all the different cultures. And then if we don't take this, we leave a piece of your of your personnel, we leave it out, because
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, we that brings me to another example of a team that we tend to work with, and it was merely in the works councils atmosphere. So there are people that are taking care of the interest of people for their own company, yeah, so for their own colleagues. And we always use that purpose assignment, and then the previous team made up a purpose statement, and they came up with nice words that really fired up themselves. And then the new team entered, and we did the same exercise a few years later. And then it was really in those words. So sometimes the devil is really in the details, but a simple word like respect can mean an awful different, have a different meaning from a different culture. Yeah, and then they totally misalign. So yeah, very true. It's sometimes really in those words, and as we tend to go then, yeah, a little up in yeah, hierarchy of questions. So the why question, the purpose, and the where to question, those are really key to answer them, and then make sure that it's kind of, let's say, common language. How do you phrase that with
yeah,
those
common
teams?
language was the same language, because all the organizations say we want to speak the same language, but what is actually the same language?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And even if it is the same word, it can mean an awful lot of difference among different languages and cultures. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
still a lot to challenge and to win.
Absolutely. It is a long way, but if you talk about diversity and inclusion, these also are the terms that we can say, okay, what do we mean by the diversity and what do we mean by the inclusion? I had a guest here on the podcast, and we were talking about Dutch culture as being very egalitarian. And she said, okay, egalitarian, but they have a king and a queen. And we were like, okay, can the culture where you have a
Hold on.
monarch really be egalitarian? you know,
Yeah,
there are
yeah.
there are some, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting sometimes to think about this stuff, and it's good to start thinking about it, because the world is changing, what you said, so rapidly.
the monarchy has that for ages, but let's skip that topic and don't go in that direction. But I remember myself, I studied international business, and then graduated on governance. So it has always been there, but I think the world over the decades, the past decades, has become really increasingly, yeah, global. And yeah, of course, we see now different challenges, different geodynamics. We're living in the world of tariffs at this moment. But I would say, even within companies based in the Netherlands, there are so many people from all kind of different backgrounds, different nationalities. The majority of my work is in English because of the fact that the teams that we work with, then English is the common language. And I'm not a native English speaker, as you already have heard. That's already creating a kind of a distance. Okay, how fluent am I in talking English and addressing my severe thoughts and feelings and in a nice way? So there's
We're
a lot to
already
learn and a lot
one
to
step
grow.
behind because we are losing like 20% because we're all speaking not our own language.
I think so. I totally agree on that. So a lot of challenges, but also a lot of fruitful performance increase once you got to know, okay, hey, that's cross culture or diversity or whatever angle that is a little different from mine. All those kind of nuances, they really make the joyful play and move to better or different performance.
Absolutely. If you can give a tip or a piece of advice from your experience from the last year,
Yeah.
to organization, and something that maybe is very simple or something that may be very practical that they can already, okay, oh, perfect, I can start using it tomorrow. Or maybe just to share the idea that guys think about that. What would it be?
That's a good one. I would say, yeah, not daily. That's a bit too much. But do assess from time to time those four elements that I shared with you, and start with, because that's to me always a nice marker or a nice cornerstone. Am I really living up to my passion and my purpose? So give that a little bit more in hierarchy from time to time, week by week, month by month. But really think of, hey, am I crafting? Am I living up to my purpose and my passion? Is it that I really do give attention to that? So prioritize it in my profession, because we do spend a lot of time at work, or working from home, but at least in a working context. So am I living up to those purpose and passion? Are we spending enough time as a team or as an organization or as a leadership team to those really crucial questions? Why are we here and are we heading? Yeah, that would really make me happy, at least. And from time to time, mark it and mark a spot in your agenda and say, hey, am I really living up to those elements that are so crucial in making the world a better place? I would say that sounds like really big words, but it's really helpful. And you're one of those examples. And of course, we have many customers, clients as well, that really said, okay, that purpose part and that passion part, you're become credible in it, or you are credible already, and it's sometimes overlooked. Yeah, that would be my not simple, but rather nice tip to use it as a bit of a marker and dig a little deeper on that, on why are you here and what is it that you would like to give to yourself and to others.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be maybe my tip to the audience.
Thank you very much. It's a very, very beautiful tip. And you said, yeah, it's the big words, but your world can be the whole world, but it also can be your street or it can be your family. Like Mother Teresa used to say, if you want to make the world better, go and love your family, right?
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
that is your
Yeah.
purpose, and it's as big as the one who is saying, I'm gonna save a rain for forest or whatever it is.
Yeah, that makes me one last final thing. That are the Matrushka puppets you gave. Yeah, yeah,
No,
puppetjes in
what is
Dutch.
the goal? Is it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, but you gave it to my as a surprise or as a gift to my children, the twins and my eldest son, and they still are they. Yeah, it's kind of a ritual, or how do you call it? It's like a yeah, it's a gift, but it's really a gift from you. And then they memorize you, and I love that. So yeah, that makes them smile and reminding you. So that's a
It
cool
makes
one.
me smile as well.
Cool. Yeah.
If the people want to find these four P's, because it's It's also in Dutch, right? There are four other words for that in Dutch. If people want to find if people want to know more about this purpose-driven organization development or team development, where they can go.
Yeah, they look me up and connect with me on LinkedIn. So the latest information is always on our LinkedIn or our post on LinkedIn. I am at least quite active at this moment on that network. And of course, we have a website, movement2.nl, but that's still in Dutch. There's a release coming up, I think, in a month or 6 weeks from now. And then we're also in English, but I think that's easy translation by every internet browser. But for that reason, those are the few spots to meet us.
Yeah.
And do reach out to us, connect to us. That would be, I would be happy to listen into your challenges and see if we can be of any value to that. So those are the two spots linked on our website to first reach out to us.
I will share your LinkedIn address, your personal and the website of the organization in the comments and under the podcast so that you can check it, guys. And of course, you can react to the podcast, and Jasper will see the remarks, and maybe he can get in connection with that. Perfect.
That's a good one. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Guys, if you have never even thought about this topic before, I'm sure that after listening to Jasper today, telling about his experiences in helping organizations in their culture and performance transformation, and the role cultural awareness plays in those transformations, you understand that the role only getting bigger the coming years. And leaders, HR managers, recruiters, all these people who are responsible for leading people to the future within the organization, they need to understand, to fully grasp the impact this cultural awareness play in those challenges and be ready and be prepared to face them. I think that is a very, very important skill, and we cannot neglect it anymore. So if you feel inspired by Jasper, if you want to learn more about cultural awareness, if you want to become more confident in navigating the multicultural landscape, join me and my new guest in 2 weeks for more tips and insights on bending culture. Guys, if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, share this link with a fellow global game changer. Until I see you again, this is Elena from Cross Cultural Development. Let's keep bending culture together to shape a thriving, diverse, and inclusive business world. Thank you, Jasper. Thank you, guys. See you next time.